Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the world's most exciting classroom. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. This is our second event back since the Oosterschelde has left Cape Town, making its way towards St. Helena. In fact, I'm going to share my screen really quickly here because I want to give you an update on the map, and there's a couple cool new video clips up as well that we can check out that they've posted kind of from along the way. So let me see if my screen share will cooperate. You should see that right about now. Perfect. And here we go. We've got the map here front and center. Whoops, that zoomed me out kind of funny. There we go. You can see where we spent almost the better part of a month here in Cape Town before the ship set sail for St. Helena. And we'll check in with Josh shortly, but it looks like we're not too far away. I would guess in the next day or so that the ship potentially is going to be arriving in St. Helena. As always with the map, if you want to play around with it on your own, you can visit DARWIN200.com. And then if you click on the camera icon, it's going to bring up all of these pictures and videos from along the way. And then if you click on the bird icon, it is going to bring up some of the bird lists that Grant and others on board the ship have been making, kind of doing our global bird survey of all the cool species that we've been seeing all around the world. There is a new button down there. It's a globe. I'm not sure what that's going to do. It must have just been a new update, but I'm not going to click it while we're live in case it shuts down our map or changes something in a weird way. But you at home are more than welcome to find out what that new globe option is going to do. Maybe it's more like a 3D view of the map. But if we look at a few of our video clips here, a few of our shots, here you can see life on board the ship. You can see some of the sails up there. And then what's really cool, we'll have to ask Josh how Mariana is doing. Mariana is our Explorers Club researcher on board. We've been doing eDNA samples, environmental DNA, ever since Fiji, but they've been really shallow. And what Mariana is trying to do is sink the eDNA pump to about 200 meters to take deep water samples. So I'm dying for an update to know how those samples are going. It looks like they've got some line there and they've kind of got a clever way of wrapping it up. So I'm sure Josh can kind of give us that update. And then we've got this really cool video clip here of the ship at night. So all lit up, the sails, pretty cool. It doesn't look like it's moving too fast. Probably Josh there flying the drone. We'll ask him about this footage as well. I love that perspective of the ship there at night. That's really, really cool. So that's kind of a little update since we've left Cape Town. It's almost 2 weeks, and it looks like we're getting really close to St. Helena. So let's do it. Let's bring Josh in from backstage on board the ship. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Good, thanks, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good to see you. Good to have you connected with us. What's going on, man? How's the sailing been?
It's been a really, really nice voyage. There's been very nice weather the whole way. We're basically following trade winds, so we're sailing downwind. So we've been on the same sail configuration most of the way. A couple of days of motoring where there's been very little wind, but otherwise just very easy, very nice sailing. Lots of cool wildlife. The day we left, well, we left Cape Town in the evening, which we don't usually do. And then the following day, it was super flat and calm, and we had whales around us, and we caught some nice big fish. I mean, it's been jam packed. It's been a very eventful voyage.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'm dying to know how Mariana is doing. It looks like at least one day you were able to kind of sink the pump. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going well. I think there was a learning curve for everyone involved,
Sure.
especially maneuvering the ship to keep it in place. And even on the windless days, you still have swell, so the ship is still getting pushed around by the swell. But I think she's done four or five samples now.
Oh, wow.
And everyone keeps getting better. The first couple, there were not just on her part, on everyone's part, there were things that could have gone better. But now everyone's got it down to a T. So they're going really, really well now.
I love it. It's brand new technology. You know, that pump is brand new, so they've never used it in the field before. It can pump a crazy amount of water, so sample a ton of water for eDNA. And it's never been done before. So this baseline data that she's collecting all the way along the coast of Africa and Europe will be used by scientists going forward in the future. So yeah, it's really exciting. I'm glad that so far it seems to be working out. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's all going well, and we're looking forward to seeing what comes out of the results.
Yeah, so those night shots that we just saw, was that you flying the drone?
That was, yeah. It took a lot of convincing for me to do it. But Berent, the captain at the moment, is a big fan of the deck lights.
Yeah.
And I asked him to switch them on just so I could film some stuff from the deck, because we don't have a lot of stuff of the ship at night.
Sure.
And then there was only the slightest breath of wind pushing the ship along, and the ocean was completely flat. The conditions were perfect for flying the drone, but I really didn't want to do it because I was just, it felt very risky doing it at night.
Sure.
But they managed to twist my arm enough for me to get it up in the air, and everything went perfectly, and it made for some really unique shots, some really special shots, and it could be the only chance that the conditions are favorable enough to do something like that. So I'm really glad that we took the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, that shot from above is really, really cool. I think that's one of the coolest shots I've seen of the ship. So that's definitely worth the risk, and I'm glad the drone made it back to the ship as well.
Yes, yeah, me too. Yeah, my heart was pumping the whole time.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then St. Helena, how far away are you? It looks like you might be getting pretty close on the map.
Yeah, I think we're scheduled to arrive tomorrow after dinner. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock-ish maybe. So we left Cape Town a day early to give ourselves some more time.
Yeah.
But I think the wind has been so steady. We've made really good speed the whole time. So it looks like we're going to arrive a day earlier than we expected.
Great. And then how have the passengers settled in? We always get questions about the kids love to know if the new passengers are seasick when they start. How did everybody settle in?
I think there were a couple of people that felt a bit ropey at the beginning. Excuse me. And there was some sort of flu going around, so some people were taken out for a day or two. But otherwise, everyone's taken to the ship pretty well. And as usual, we've got a really good group on board. Everyone gets along with everyone really, really well. So yeah, there's been the atmosphere on board has been great.
Okay, excellent. And then are you in it for the long haul now? Are you on board right through to the UK?
Yeah, right through to Falmouth. That got confirmed for me yesterday. So yeah, I think I'm looking forward to my quick visit to Ascension and then my equator crossing, and see what comes out of all of that. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward. I mean, St. Helena is going to be great, but I'm really looking forward to Ascension because a lot of students might not know about this island in the first place, and the fact that we're able to visit right now because there really aren't commercial flights unless, you've got some important research going on, you're not visiting that island. So I think it's going to be really neat for you guys to explore, and hopefully we can do something live from Ascension as well.
Yeah, and Elliot's lucky enough. So I think the ship's only there for 3 or 4 days, but Elliot's jumping off and he's staying with Stuart on the island for I think 2.5 weeks. And then flying back to St. Helena, because there's still monthly flights between St. Helena and Ascension.
All right.
So yeah, Elliot's going to spend 2.5 weeks filming different projects in Ascension with Stuart.
Very cool. I might have to think about seeing if I can get Stuart a Starlink Mini so that maybe we can do a little series from Ascension. That would be pretty cool.
That would be really cool. Yeah, that would be really nice.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much for kicking things off today. I know the Starlink wasn't quite cooperating this morning, but came back at the right time so we get our little connection.
No, I'm glad we can make it. It's good to check in. All right,
next time we see you, it'll probably be from St. Helena. So enjoy the last day of sailing. Say hi to Mariana. Maybe we'll get her in next week. And
for sure.
Yeah, good luck out there.
Great. Thanks a lot, Joe. We'll catch up soon.
All right. Thanks, Josh. We'll see you later.
Bye.
All right. Very cool. So just to give you a Starlink update on the ship, we have 2 units. We have a maritime unit and we have a land unit. So at sea, we use the maritime unit, but right before, actually the day we left Cape Town, it died on us, the maritime unit. But luckily, Starlink was able to unlock the land unit so we could use it on the ocean. It's not quite as reliable as the maritime unit, but as you can see, it still gives a really nice connection. We're still able to send data. And yeah, we'll be using it from St. Helena. I know I mentioned last week, we're going to try and do something really, really special from the island. So keep your eyes out on the newsletters and social media, and we'll definitely make that announcement. Once we've 100% confirmed, we're going to be able to do something kind of neat from the field. So we're sailing along the coast of Africa. Last week, I shared some pictures from my time in Greater Kruger. And I thought for the next couple weeks, some of the guest speakers joining us, it would be really cool if they joined us from different parts of Africa and shared some of the cool science and research that they do out in the field. And so to kick us off, I have a friend of mine joining named Andrew Stein. He is a big cat biologist. He is a National Geographic explorer, and he does a lot of his work in Botswana. So he's worked with different animal species, especially things like the big cats, like the leopards and the lions, and also wild dogs, I think, too. We'll confirm that with Andrew when he comes and joins us. So he gets to spend time in Botswana in the Okavango Delta, which is a place I would absolutely love to visit someday, and I hope I get to soon. He also runs an amazing organization called Claws Conservancy. So he really works to kind of mitigate that human-wildlife conflict in Africa and make it so that they can coexist, humans and wildlife, because we are losing wildlife in Africa. We've talked about this before, probably less than 19,000 lions left in the wild. So it really is important that we find a way for that coexistence. So I'm going to grab Andrew from backstage right now. Here we go. Hey, Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's great to have you with us. I know you were in Botswana earlier in the year, so it's great to catch you in a window when you're back home for a bit.
Yes. Yeah, I was in the field February, March. I'll go back in July and then again in October.
All right. And you're pretty experienced out there in the field. I know you've worked with leopards and lions and I think wild dogs as well. So carnivores are definitely, I think, a passion of yours.
Yes, absolutely. I spent a year working on wild dogs in Kenya as an assistant to a project. And then I ran a field station in the Okavango studying all the large carnivores, lions, leopards, cheetahs, spotted hyenas, and wild dogs.
All right, very cool. Well, Andrew, I know you have a little presentation to share with us that's going to take us into your world, and then we'll have some Q&A with our classrooms hanging out.
All right, great. I'll get started. I will share my screen, which will take a second. And entire screen. There we go.
All right, I see it loading. That's a good sign. Perfect. Good to go, Andrew.
All right. Thank you very much. So as Joe mentioned, my organization is called CLAWS. It stands for Communities Living Among Wildlife Sustainably. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about community lion coexistence. I'm the executive director of the organization. I'm a member of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature Cat Specialist Group and a National Geographic explorer. So as you see in this initial slide, there's a lion in the foreground on the left, and then there's cattle in the background. And this is really the landscape where we work, like right in the Okavango Delta, where there are communities that depend on livestock for their livelihoods. And then there are wild lions nearby that occasionally go after and kill cattle. And so that creates a certain level of conflict that we're trying to reduce and change the dynamic. Now, as Joe mentioned, there's 19,000 lions or so left in Africa. They've lost more than 80% of their historic range. You can see on this map, the light green is where they used to live, and the dark green is where they remain. And the two circles, the two red circles here, one is East Africa, where there's a stronghold around the Serengeti and Ngorongoro crater system in Tanzania. And then the other circle is in Southern Africa, around the Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, within which our study area exists along the northern edge of the Okavango Delta. So if you look at the map of Africa, you can see on the bottom left that red square, that's where our study area is. And you can see the Okavango coming down from the Angolan highlands. It collects the rainwater into the river system of the Okavango River and then fans out into an inland delta. And some of that river water leads to the Zambezi, Lake Ngami, but a lot of it actually seeps underground under the Kalahari Desert. So this is the crux of the problem. We have lions that will actually kill cattle. Many of the cattle wander in the Okavango unattended. That means without herders or any people with them. So when lions see something to eat and there's no deterrent, they will go and kill them. Unfortunately, this has led to conflict where people will retaliate and kill lions to try to reduce that conflict. And in 2013, about 10 years ago, about half of the lions in our region were either shot or poisoned by people in these communities. Now, the problem with poison specifically is that it has cascading effects throughout the ecosystem. You may be targeting lions, but it will kill endangered vultures. It'll kill other scavengers like hyenas and jackals. Poison can get into the water supply and affect even herbivores or people that are dependent on those waters. So in the early stages of our work in 2014, we set out to reduce poison use. And the main way to do that was to take a compassionate approach towards people, to say they're using poison because they're desperate. And so not to prosecute and have people arrested, but to try to come up with ways to help people live in that landscape with little to no conflict, and maybe even provide some benefits to people for living with lions. So how can we reduce conflict and save lions? Well, we decided to take a holistic approach using both technology and traditional practices. We started a program called Pride in Our Prides, and the purpose of this was to help people take pride in having prides of lions nearby, not only through tourism, but just the cultural importance of having lions present. So we fitted lions with satellite tracking collars, so we had to dart them. And then we would take measurements. We'd take blood, tissue, hair samples. We would put these satellite tracking collars on the lions. And then we would go to the villages and ask villagers to name the lions themselves in their local language to create a stronger connection between people in the village and the individual lions. Because when people use poison, they felt that all lions were a problem. Every single lion is the same. But we realize anybody that has a pet dog or a cat knows that each individual animal has a personality. Some animals are curious, some are shy, some are aggressive. Some lions kill cattle and some lions don't. And so if we could name them and share the stories of individual lions, then farmers could understand that poisoning all lions or shooting individual lions when they don't know their background might actually be a negative because it creates space for new lions to come in that might actually start causing problems. So who are some of these lions? Well, one was named Mutlawankanda, which means the farmer. This female was named Mayenga, meaning decorated by the gods. Kufa Kuduzi, which means if you come for my cattle, I will find you. And then Shedapatira, which means the one who belongs to us. From these satellite collars, we developed a lion alert system. And so we set up these virtual fences around different cattle posts and villages. The villages had a 5-kilometer radius for that virtual fence. The cattle posts had a 3-kilometer radius. And when the lions come within that virtual fence, it disperses a real-time alert with the name of the lion and how far away that lion is so that people can take preventative action to protect their cattle and keep lions away. And this is what these alerts look like. The lion's name Mayenga approaching Jungwe cattle post distance of 1 kilometer. And so people have the ability to take preventative action. Some of the things that they do, they might light small fires. They will bring their cattle and put them into an enclosure for the night so that they're protected. But we also started a lion response team. So members of our team get the alerts, drive out to where the lion is, get a visual on that lion, and then they'll use firecrackers like Pro, our staff member on the left, is using. And what we found is that lions, after the firecrackers go off, will retreat to safety in the Okavango, on average running about 6 kilometers within a few hours. So it actually works quite well. It keeps the lion safe. Even our lion response team has run into people with guns tracking the lions to see if they can find them. And our team intercepts those people, shares that we're going to go to the lions and use the firecrackers. And then those people go back home and put their guns away. The second piece is resurrecting traditional herders. In our area, herding practices have stopped, mainly because the young men who were 10, 12, 14 years old that were herding the cattle traditionally are now in school, and the adult men of the village don't want to do the job of a child. And the pay is not very good and the training isn't very good. So we met with people in the villages. We found the first village in Botswana, Eretsa, who agreed to form a community committee made up of elders from the village, and they decided to do a communal herd. So they brought their cattle together into one large herd. Then they make all the decisions about where the cattle can graze in the wet season and the dry season when the resources are best. This also helps us restore rangelands, reverse overgrazing, erosion, desertification, things like that, and actually improves the overall environment. But we also give them training in basic veterinary practices, training in conflict mitigation with lions so they reduce conflict. And in fact, the herds that we have not lost cattle to lions in 2.5 years. So this is one of our herders. His name is Oscar. Here he is with the cattle and holding one of the lion collars. Now we have 3 herds with over 800 cattle. And as I said, no losses to lions in 3 years. Also, we have taken these cattle and gotten them certified as wildlife-friendly beef. And we have partnered with local lodges who buy the beef from us at a premium price, 10% better than the market. So that if your cattle are in this program and you're doing practices that restore rangelands and improve the environment, improve the health of the cattle, you have no losses, the owners pledge not to kill lions, then they get this better price. And the results are that the lion population is recovering. In 2023, we knew of 45 lions. As of last year, we know of 104 lions, mainly because the prides have become stable. There's little to no killing of lions in the last 3 years. I think we've lost 2 animals. So the prides are growing, cubs are surviving better, and we're having much greater success. So lastly, I just want to thank our supporters. Our website is at the bottom. We do have an Instagram page as well, so you can follow us there. But some of our bigger donors are WWF, Tusk Trust, Lion Recovery Fund, Conservation International, Mali Asili, Natural Selection, and so forth. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now, and we can come back to the program.
All right, perfect. Andrew, thank you for that little presentation. You know, we've hosted you numerous times in the past. It's always great to see how your work is progressing and to see that the impact, it's having by putting good conservation in place. Because, when people feel like their livelihoods are safe, they appreciate nature and they don't want to see it disappear from their back door either.
Exactly. What I've learned in all my years working in Kenya, Namibia, South Africa, Botswana is that these animals are only going to survive if people on the ground want them to. And if conflict is is a big part of their lives. If their livelihoods are constantly under threat, they are not going to want to protect these things. But if you can create an initiative where people actually get benefit, they get a better price, the conflict is reduced, right? Then all of a sudden there's incentives for people to not only take care of their environment, but take care of these animals that at the end of the day, people do care about. They want these animals to survive, but only if it's not a threat to their lives and their livelihoods.
Yeah, of course. Well, those who are tuning in, don't be shy. Use the chat sidebar to send us in a question or two for Andrew about lions or the work he's doing in Africa. But to get us started, I've got one here. Andrew, what's the most challenging thing about working in the field?
There are so many challenges. Right now we're in the wet season, getting towards the end of the wet season. But when the rains come and the Okavango, it starts to flood, and getting into our study area is a big challenge. We are, even though we have big, strong land cruisers, they get stuck in the mud, they get stuck in rivers. The water is coming over the hood of the vehicle, sometimes like up the windscreen, like into the windows if the windows are rolled down. So even getting out to the field can be a challenge. Always working with different stakeholders can be a challenge. Everybody wants good outcomes, not only for themselves, but in general. So we have to work with leaders of the different villages. We work with 5 villages. There's 3 different tribes in our area. So understanding the different tribes, the dynamics there. Then there are other organizations working in that landscape. Then there's different government agencies. There's the Ministry of Environment and Department of Wildlife. There's Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Production, Veterinary Services. There are the different lodges that have their own interests. We even have professional hunters that operate in some of the area within our study area. So we've got to navigate how to work with all these different people, even if we may not agree with everything that they do. We may have our own ideas of what should be done. But working together and finding common ground and compromising when it works, and for the most part, I think we've done a pretty good job. When it works, it's incredible, and we get like the best outcomes, like what we're seeing. And then, of course, just funding, keeping the organization running. I'm writing grants constantly, and a lot of these grants are year to year. So every year we've got to raise money to make sure that I can pay my staff. We have 50 staff now, and that we have the equipment and the support that we need to do our work. So those are probably the 3 biggest challenges.
Yeah. Well, you're doing amazing, Andrew. And the next question that I have here from a student is about surprise encounters. Have you ever had any surprise animal encounters in camp or in the field?
Yes. Yeah. When you're working in wild spaces, you never know what you're going to encounter. So where we work right now, we're in like right at the edge of one of the villages, but the previous project where I worked, our research camp was nestled like in wildlife area. And so during the day, sometimes at night, wildlife would come in because we didn't have fences around it. So for example, like we'd be having dinner in like an open tent and it'd be dark. And then all of a sudden you start hearing a sound and you take your flashlight and you look at the bird bath and there's a leopard drinking. You're like, whoa, okay. And you just like quietly keep eating and you move your flashlight away and then the leopard moves off. Or we'd have honey badgers come into the kitchen and, if somebody left out some food, all of a sudden you hear these noises. And I was managing the camp. So I would have to, in the middle of the night with my flashlight, like get out of bed and walk into the kitchen and chase off whatever was there. An example of why that's important, like most people I think would say like just leave it alone, why actually push something. But before I started working in that camp, we have refrigerators that were powered by propane tanks. So these propane tanks would have this hose, and then it would go to like this pilot light, and then that would keep the refrigerator cold. So in years past, the honey badgers would come in. They would, I don't know, I guess they'd be curious. They'd start biting on the hose, and then it would create this gas leak. And then it hit the propane flame, and boom, the whole kitchen exploded. Like literally like a massive fireball of explosion.
Wow.
So I wasn't there at the time, but my boss, after having that experience, would say to me, I don't care what's in the kitchen. You need to go and chase it out. And so I'd have to like march in there and in my deepest, like loudest, get out of here, you know, that kind of thing, to chase whatever. And sometimes it was hyenas, sometimes it was honey badge. Some, you know, we even had elephants come into camp, and we'd be banging pots and, you know, try to discourage them to leave. So yeah, living out there, you never know what you're going to encounter.
Yeah. All right. We've got time for one more question here, Andrew. And this question is from a group in Toronto, and they'd like to know, you know, why Africa? What do you think led you to be a biologist in Africa?
Great question. I think about this a lot lately because I've dedicated so much of my life to Africa. I've been working there 25 years or so. The first thing, of course, I grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts, in the Northeast of the United States, watching documentaries. And I think that seeing documentaries of Africa, watching these documentaries of lions in the Serengeti, you know, watching like the leopard crawl and the roll of their shoulders as they would, you know, kind of stalk their prey. So it was really big cats in Africa that captured my imagination. But the other piece is that I always thought that the savanna systems were, because they're open, you could see lots of wildlife all the time. I had this vision of like the Amazon where you're like trekking and it's really difficult and it's wet all the time and you barely get to see wildlife. And so I thought like the African savannas, even if I didn't see my cats, I would see elephants and zebra and giraffe and plains game and all that kind of stuff, which would always keep my imagination. Having been to the rainforest a little bit, I realized that that may have been like a false understanding, because when you go, sometimes you can see a lot of animals. You can see birds, you can see amphibians, you can see monkeys and things. So I've spent a little more time in those other systems lately, and I love it. It's really incredible.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you so much. Anytime we connect, I always think back to the one time we had sent you a little satellite unit and you did a little broadcast. You guys had darted 2 lions to put the collars on, which was so cool. So it was great to wake up to that surprise where you'd done that little live stream on Facebook for us. Really cool.
Yeah, well, we've got Starlink our side now too, so we could probably put something together like that again and sometime soon.
Yeah, that sounds great. I know you're heading to the fields in the foreseeable future, so let's see what we can pull off.
All right. Yeah, let's keep in touch. Thanks for the opportunity to chat, and, you know, good luck with the rest of the initiative. It's really exciting.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. It was great to see you.
Cheers.
Okay. There we go. So there we go. 2 connections from related to Africa today. We had the ship on its way to St. Helena, and then we had Andrew with us, which was great. He does really great work in Botswana with his team. If you go to the Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants on YouTube and you search Andrew, you will find a bunch of past events we've done with him. Sometimes we're in his camp in Botswana. Other times he's at home and sharing some pictures and videos to highlight the work he's doing. So if you have some time with your classes, definitely go check out our YouTube page and find some of those videos. So the next part we're going to move into is we always love to connect with our DARWIN200 leaders. So as many of you will know, every port that we visit, we try to fly out as many young conservationists, 18 to 25 years old, as we can. And the idea is we pair them up with organizations in the field. They do some research, hopefully learn some new conservation ideas. They have a camera operator with them so they can make a series of videos that highlight the conservation issue, the work that's being done, and ideas for the future. And we hope that when they go back home to their home countries, that they can use some of those skills in their future conservation careers. So we have a Darwin leader joining us who is from Brazil. Thiago Thiago Cardoza is joining us. He was with us as a Darwin leader in Peru, and he was working on a project based around the octopus fishery in Peru, which, if you remember from when he joined us months and months ago, it is a very dangerous profession. There's questions about how sustainable it is. So we're going to bring him in with us now to catch up a little bit. And then we have another one of his videos to share. So bear with me for a moment while I bring him in. Hey, Thiago, how are you?
Hey, all good. And you?
Yeah, good. It's great to have you joining us from Brazil. What part of Brazil are you in?
I'm in South right now, in Florianópolis.
Okay, perfect. I think I hear some birds in the background. So hopefully it's a nice day there for you.
Yeah, it's amazing here.
Yeah. Well, why don't you kind of, just to remind, because we'll have some new groups here joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you found the DARWIN200?
Well, I work with octopus and ecology since like some 3 years now. And I started in biology and then started to move to marine biology. And I always be passionate with the sea, with diving. And then I met my professor, Tatiana, and she's one of the biggest octopus researchers in the world in Brazil. And we have a project that is Project Cephalopoda that works here in northeast until south from Brazil, studying the octopus, squids, ecology, taxonomy, and she is one of the projects that works in Noronha. So when the ship got to Noronha, they called her and the project to do the documentary with Isla and one of the first legs of the trip. And then I get to know the project and send my application.
All right, very cool. Well, octopus are absolutely amazing. Really, I think a lot of people describe them as just like out of this world. They're so different than other animals on our planet in the ocean. And you'll be excited to know I was in South Africa recently with the ship. We were out in Gansbaai and I was doing some free diving in the kelp forest. And we had a bait canister with us that we would drop in different parts of the forest and wait to see what came out. So we were getting lots of really cool little sharks, like pajama sharks and dark sharks and shy sharks. But then one of the times we dropped the canister, we noticed these little tentacles come out from under the rock and just grab on to the canister. So we found this beautiful octopus under the rock. And we had to have a little negotiation to get the canister back because the octopus didn't want to release its new prize, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, they're very smart and they're very curious. So when you put something like, sometimes I was right now in Rio de Janeiro doing some experiments. Yeah. And when you put a GoPro inside of close to the den, you have to fight the GoPro to go back again.
Yes, I had something similar a couple years ago. I was in the Azores and I put my GoPro a little too close, and again, another negotiation to have the GoPro returned from that curious octopus. Very cool. And so you were in the field and you were with this little kind of, maybe artisanal might be the right word for it, fishing industry for the octopus. Can you tell us a little bit about the people who fish for them and how they do it?
Yeah, of course. So they are an association called Asociação de Marisqueiros de Ancón. Ancón is it's a small place close to Lima where people go to vacation, to get a beach, to go to the summer, and they have a good, like a street with restaurants and Peruvian cuisine, and the most of the fishery, the artisanal fishery it's to maintain this small city. So they are an association of fishers that catch mostly fish to the ceviche or octopus and other animals like this. And they also fish the it's not the giant squid, it's the other one, it's the Humboldt squid. It's this very big squid too. So this one I think it goes to the industry. But well, they use the hookah fishing. It's a diving style that you use a air compressor, to put the air in, ready to the mouth of the diver. So they don't use the tanks, nothing like that. And then there's a lot of problematics around it, because it's very dangerous. It's way more impact to the ocean, because you have unlimited source of air, so you can just grab anything that is on the seafloor, basically. But for this, they have a very strict laws that the association created by themselves to control the amount of octopus and other animals that they can catch, to maintain a sustainable fishery. So they are they have a strong sense of community, and they think with the science part of the programs, like the Consciência Marina NGO and the Nature Conservancy NGO. They have this partnership, so the scientists gave them the data and counseling the association, and they can create the laws themselves for the association. So they have a strict limit to the boats, to the divers, to the amount of octopus. And it's very interesting, because they really got this passion to make sustainable,
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And as a diver myself, it can be dangerous enough just diving with your tanks and using your computers, surfacing correctly and things like that. So I can only imagine, the risks that they're taking. They're not using dive computers, diving with an air hose, not really monitoring their depth. So yeah, I know it's a dangerous profession that they're involved in, but it is really good to hear that that there is an association looking at conservation and the numbers that they're taking to try and keep that industry sustainable. And with that being said, I have your second video that we can play today. And I think this video is going to focus a little bit more on the conservation side of things.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, well, let's take a look at it together, and we'll see if there's a couple questions afterwards. So just bear with me, everybody, while I load the video on my end, and you should see it right about now.
Welcome to the depths of Peru coastal waters, where Los Marisqueros, ancient hunters of octopus, risk their lives to catch that ocean bounty. Today we met the pulmoneros, how they are known in Ancon.
Ahí, ese es para sostener el hogar. El arpón es para matar el pescado y el gancho que tiene usted es para sacar el pulpo.
Hasta antes del derrame acá, en Las Conchitas, en la zona donde estamos, era una zona de desove de pescado. Traba pulpo, lenguado, chita, todo dentro de su temporada, ¿no? Al haber el derrame, desaparecieron las especies, caracol, cangrejo, calamar y todas las especies que se reproducían acá. Según los estudios, los análisis, esta es una zona de reserva natural, de las cuales 82 especies habían acá. Es bastante incómodo y perjudicial para nosotros. Y no vemos ya otro producto. Se va la corriente del Niño, se va el pulpo y no sabemos qué va a pasar más adelante.
Skilled divers, they rely solely on their breath-holding abilities to harvest their prey.
Más abundancia de todas
Había
las especies.
abundancia y éramos pocos los buzos que habíamos. Eran menos embarcaciones.
Aquí donde usted ve la orilla del mar, ahí estaban los toyos, los lenguados andando, hola, te decían ahí, caminando. Hoy en día no se ve, hay que salir más adentro.
La pesca sostenible, en principio, es asegurar que los recursos estén en el tiempo y que se mantengan en el tiempo para que todos nosotros podamos aprovechar de ellos, pero también pensemos en cómo esa sostenibilidad asegura el bienestar de las comunidades de pescadores y cómo a través de ese bienestar no solamente mejoran los recursos, sino también mejoran las condiciones de vida de estos grupos de pescadores y sus familias.
Los varones también nos enseñan a nosotros, no todos, pero algunos de ellos nos enseñan pues, para poder también aprender como ellos a bucear, ¿no? Eso es una de las metas de la asociación, que las mujeres y los hijos de los buzos aprendan a bucear para más adelante sea como una profesión, una economía para nuestro hogar, ¿no? De lo que más me agrada de esto es, aparte de extraer yuyo, es aprender a bucear. Yo quiero aprender a bucear, sacar también las especies como sacan los hombres, ¿no?
Se puede evidenciar una gran participación de mujeres en la fase extractiva en la Asociación Mixta de Pulmoneros y Yuyeras de Ancón. Ellas, por ejemplo, extraen el yuyo, que es una alga que es muy consumida en Perú, principalmente como acompañamiento del popular ceviche. Y ellas participan, su rol y sus actividades están principalmente orientadas a recoger, ingresar a las zonas de orilla y colectar el yuyo de estas zonas.
With the assistance of the local NGOs, it was possible to manage research data about the health of the octopus populations and follow some standards, with the fishers themselves being the protagonists, the supervisors and the authorities.
Hemos venido trabajando en la comunidad con diferentes temáticas, una de ellas para la reducción de la contaminación marina, implementando un sistema de gestión de residuos de las embarcaciones, residuos de aceite de las embarcaciones. Posteriormente y luego del derrame de petróleo, ganamos mucha confianza de la comunidad. Esto nos permitió poder vincularnos más a ellos con una organización de marisqueros, la Asociación de Marisqueros de Ancón. El trabajo que nosotros tenemos con la comunidad pesquera radica en generar espacios de confianza donde la comunidad pueda intervenir e involucrarse en temas de responsabilidad pesquera. Esto genera que los pescadores no solamente vean en nosotros un ente que pueda brindarles apoyo y fortalecer sus capacidades en cuanto a conservación, sino también para poder fortalecer su nivel de formalización en la actividad pesquera. Entonces, basados en la concientización y también en información científica, los marisqueros toman la decisión de abrir o cerrar sus zonas de extracción. Pueden trabajar en la zona llamada de la Isla Grande o pueden trabajar en los islotes de Ancón, que forman parte de una reserva nacional que se llama Islote Grupo de Pescadores de la Reserva Nacional Sistema de Islas, Islotes y Puntas Guaneras. En apoyo con información científica, ellos han logrado establecer sus topes de extracción que están basados en la disponibilidad del recurso y en el tamaño en el que se encuentra, y también poner normas y sanciones para aquellos miembros de la asociación que no cumplen con estos acuerdos, poco a poco puedan estar más alineados al trabajo de conservación y de pesca responsable que viene realizando esta asociación hace más de 10 años. Hay un impacto evidente también en la disponibilidad del recurso, en que a pesar de las malas condiciones, por ejemplo, del niño, han hecho que el recurso al que principalmente ellos se dedican se profundice o desaparezca de la zona, pero ha traído otro recurso de alto valor, que es el pulpo. Es el recurso el cual la asociación está extrayendo en la actualidad, y esto permite que el recurso no se acabe de la noche a la mañana, sino que permanezca a lo largo del tiempo, y los pescadores puedan también encontrar beneficios económicos mucho más sostenibles en el tiempo de lo que podrían extraer en pocos meses.
The mission of these brave fishers is to guarantee the resource for the future, making it sustainable. Many say sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. But for them, it's more than that. It's guarantee of their lives.
All right. Great stuff, Thiago. Did you find that the fishermen were eager to talk to you, or were they kind of nervous at first?
I think because I'm Brazilian, it was way easier because actually I work with fishers right now in my research. I already have my dad is fisher, so I think this type of connection makes the things easy to chat with them.
Okay. And do you get a feeling that the industry is going to continue? Are there less people kind of doing it each year, or did you get a feeling that the families are going to continue, into the future?
Yeah, that's a thing in this situation. I noticed that you are talking about the same problem with the last part of the program.
Yep.
With the African research. The youngers, they don't want to maintain this culture. Mm-hmm. One, because most of them it's going to start to studying, going to universities and stuff.
Yep.
And because it's more dangerous and it's a very hard life you have to wake up very early and go to the sea and risk your life every day.
Yeah.
And then it's a very heavy routine. So the children of those fishers, they go together and they appreciate the culture, but they're not planning to work with this anymore. So this fishing is starting to get every year less people doing, and the other part is that they are very impacted with the climate change and the problems that happened in Peru, like this oil spill and stuff. So since 2020, because of the COVID and then because of the oil spill, they got a lot of struggle to the fishing. So they are going back again just right now.
Yeah.
And by the time a lot of the chain of the fishers and getting to their sons and stuff kind of ripped up a little, you know.
Mhm.
Most of them started to work with a lot of other things. Even the fishers, like the old fishes,
Yeah.
they started to work with tourism or driving, like taxi and stuff.
Okay. And so one more question for you about your plans now. What are you doing now? Are you studying? Do you have an expedition coming up? What are you up to?
So I got yesterday from an expedition in Rio de Janeiro. We are searching for some new species that my group was describing. One squid and one octopus, new species that are coming. And then we got to that was in Arraial do Cabo, not the city of Rio de Janeiro. And then I were in Rio de Janeiro with Tatiana, and we collect one very rare small octopus that lives in marine litter, and we now doing some experiments with him, and we're going to put back next week on the place that we got the octopus. So we are doing a lot of stuff right now. My next expedition is probably to Rio again next month to see these octopus again. It's a pygmy octopus that lives only in marine litter. So we're studying this, and it's my main research right now. So, and I'm in the end of my graduation. So probably in the beginning of next year, I'm going to graduate and try my master's. I don't know where, I don't know with what project, but I'm open. I'm searching for a new place to know still working with octopus, but with a new species, or maybe in Peru. Peru is a place that I really loved to know. Was my first international trip, and I would love to make masters there with this species from Peru that we don't know so much. So yeah, that's where I am right now.
All right. Well, Thiago, thank you so much for joining us. To those who are tuning in now or will tune in later, if you go to the Darwin200 YouTube channel, you can find a playlist of well over 100 Darwin Leader videos. So you can check out Thiago's first video if you didn't see it earlier. And then if you want to see the concluding video, you can find it there as well. And that's the video where we kind of look towards the future and think about new solutions and things to try. So Thiago, thank you so much for being with us. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying yourself out in the field, and good luck with the field work you have coming up.
Thank you very much. It's always very good to be here. I love the program. Thank you very much, Joe, and see you later.
All right. Have a great rest of the week. Thanks so much.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, so to wrap up, we have a brand new experiment. Last week, we did our potato clock experiment. So your classroom still have one more week to try that and send us in some pictures to classroom@darwin200.com. This experiment is one that we did almost 2 years ago now. But I thought it would be fun to bring back this week because it's springtime in a lot of classrooms in Canada, the US, the UK. And so creatures in your yards, in your schoolyards, are going to be becoming more active. So I think it's going to be fun to try this experiment in your schoolyard or to try this experiment at home. It's to create a pitfall trap and see what you might find living in your yard. So let me share this video here, and then we'll wrap up with the experiment of the week. Here's the video.
This week's experiment is inspired by pitcher plants. We're going to create pitfall traps. These are traps that catch invertebrates so you can find out what incredible little mini beasts live close to your home or to your school. The idea is very simple. It's basically a trap whereby invertebrates fall inside and can't escape. so you can come back the next day and find out what creatures you've caught. Making a pitfall trap is really quite easy. You've got to dig a hole, so having a little trowel is very useful for that. You then need a container into which your invertebrates will fall. This can really be anything. It could be little plastic pots or yogurt pots, such as these. You could also use glass jam jars. I'm going to use these glass scientific beakers, but it really can be any glass or plastic container. The important thing is that the inside has to be slippery so that the invertebrates you catch can't climb out. You then need a form of bait. I'm going to use a bit of biscuit and some banana peel. So we're going to see if that attracts any invertebrates. It's a good idea to set up a control pitfall trap in which you have no bait at all. That should reveal whether the bait makes a difference. Last of all, you need a cover for your traps. This is very important so that if it rains while you set up your traps, the traps then don't flood and fill up with water, which could kill your poor little invertebrates that you trap. So it's very important to make a cover. You can put a piece of bark or any object that you find out where you set up your traps, but I really recommend cardboard. It's really easy and you can fold down the edges to make a little shelter, like so. Then you can nestle that over your trap, so it's really easy for invertebrates to find their way in, but it shelters the trap from the rain. Okay, let's go out and set up our traps. Step 1. Find a habitat where you think invertebrates might live. Forests are great for this, or hedgerows as well. Step 2. Dig holes for your pitfall trap and make sure that the top of your container is the same level as the surface of the ground. Step 3. Put the bait into the traps. Remember, it's a good idea to leave one trap without any bait at all. This will be your control to see how effective the bait is in attracting invertebrates. Step 4. Cover each pitfall trap so it's protected from the rain. Then you're all set. Leave your pitfall trap for 24 hours, then come back and see what you've caught. Please note, I'm doing this experiment in the United Kingdom, where there are no dangerous invertebrates. But if you live in a country where there are invertebrates that can sting or bite you, you need to do this experiment very carefully and under adult supervision. What results did you find in your pitfall traps? Which bait was most successful? Did you notice differences between the invertebrates caught in the pitfall traps with different forms of bait? What about your control experiment with no bait in at all? Did that catch any invertebrates at all? Or were there any surprises or really unusual animals caught in your pitfall traps? Download an instruction PDF for this experiment from the DARWIN200 website and send in your results within the next 2 weeks for a chance to win prizes. In 2 episodes' time, I'll share with you what I found in my pitfall traps. It should be really interesting to compare results from different places around the world. Good luck and see you in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, so there we go. Like I said, spring in many countries around the world, so there should be lots of active bugs and other things in your backyards right now, in your schoolyards. So give that pitfall trap a try. You have 2 weeks to send something into classroom@darwin200.com, maybe some pictures or some little video clips. We'd love to see what you're finding in your neighborhoods, in your backyards. Of course, teacher or parental supervision is important because sometimes things that you catch could be bitey. If you have something like a centipede or maybe a spider or something. So it is good to have a little bit of supervision with this project, this experiment as well. So 2 weeks, send your answer to classroom@darwin200.com. We'd love to see some photos of what you were finding in your schoolyard or in your backyard. Last week we had a curiosity of the week. We did not have a correct answer this week. We had lots of good guesses for what kind of mineral it might be, but this one stumped our classrooms. So let's take a look at the answer here.
Welcome back, everyone. Last week I asked you to try and identify these 4 little objects. Each one had a different shape, colour and texture. They're very different from one another. Could you work out what they are? This is a very difficult curiosity to identify. These are known as desert tears. They're a type of mineral made out of silica, and they occur when volcanic ash or lava cools and hydrates. As they form, they develop their own shape and colour. Some of them are black, like this one here. Others are white. Some can be grey, and some can be brown. They're all semi-translucent. You can just about see light shining through them, and they're regarded as a semi-precious gemstone. Did you identify these correctly as desert tears? Let's find out who won this week's prize. Thank you for watching and for taking part.
All right, so like Stu said, it was a very tricky curiosity of the week. Sometimes they can be really easy. Sometimes you really have to think about it and do a little bit of research. We had some great guesses, like quartz and things like that, but unfortunately, no one got desert tears. But we have another chance this week with a brand new curiosity. So let me share this video. This is the last thing we're going to do today, is take a look at this brand new curiosity.
Back everyone. For this week's curiosity, I have these two pointy objects here. What do you think these might be? If you look, they're very sharp. They have barbs on one side of them, and they have a knife-like blade on both edges. They are not teeth. What do you think these might be? Send in your best guess to classroom@darwin200.com for a chance to win an Amazon gift voucher prize. Join me next week to find out the identity of these strange, sharp little objects. Good luck, and thank you for taking part.
Okay, there we go. That is our curiosity of the week. You got a nice clue there that they are not teeth. So they were pointy. They had little barbs at the end. What could they be? You have a week to do a little bit of research and try and come up with your best guesses. Send them to classroom@darwin200.com. So 1 week for the curiosity of the week. Next week, we'll have the answer to the potato clocks. You can still try that in your classroom. And then 2 weeks from now, we'll have the answers, the results for the pitfall traps that hopefully you try in your backyard or in your schoolyard. So that is a wrap for today. We had quite a busy event with a connection from the ship. Andrew joining us to talk about his work in Botswana. Thiago joining us from Brazil to talk about his project looking at the sustainable octopus fishery in Ancon in Peru. And now we're going to say goodbye for this week. Next week, we'll be live from St. Helena, so hopefully we'll do something pretty cool while we are there. But we have to end off the way we always do, with a shout out to our sponsors, supporters, and partners, without whom we wouldn't have the world's most exciting classroom. We wouldn't be sailing around the world. We wouldn't have Mariana and other researchers on board. We wouldn't have Darwin leaders like Thiago joining us in the ports to learn new conservation skills for their future careers. So we owe a lot to our sponsors, partners, and supporters. Thank you for everyone joining in this week, and we are going to sign off for now. See you again next Thursday.